bias, with their prejudices. We are completely ignoring this, and we assume that if an auditor comes into the picture, he will figure out the truth.
Because he is more objective.
And the auditor is a human being too, with his own prejudices, with his own bias, with his own power games coming to the table. And we don't realize that what the truth that emerges is not just what the measuring scale tells us, but a combination of the measuring scale as well as the subjective realities of the person who measures, the person who is reading the measurement, and then the auditor in between. And so you're getting a very warped reality.
But there is no solution to this, right, Devdutt? Because we have to measure in the modern world. In large organizations, if you want to reward, before you reward, you have to understand how good the performance is. So therefore, you measure the performance. A measurement is embedded in almost every stage of how the individual performs in an organization, how a team performs, how the organization itself performs for shareholders, for stakeholders, etc.
Yes.
So how do you get away from measurement whilst fully acknowledging that part of it is subjective and part of it is objective?
See, we are trying to create a world which is 100% objective, and therefore we are assuming that we'll create a fair world. This is the promised land where everything is 100% objective and we'll create a fair world. And that is where, this is the goalpost. I want to create this objective world and a fair world. But if we recognize that no matter how hard we try, we'll only be 50% objective, and therefore all our measurements will have flaws in them, then I'm closer to reality. I'm comfortable accepting that the balance sheet is not the truth. The CV which comes to me is not the truth. It is an indicator of the truth, but not the whole truth. That recognition is sometimes missing because what I'm saying is about over-reliance on measurement. It has become today only about measurement when it should be also about measurement. This shift, let me give you an example of subjectivity. You have the story of a king called Mahabali, who said that he will give anybody whatever they want. And suddenly one day a dwarf comes in front of him, and the dwarf says, give me 3 paces of land. And Mahabali says, yes, take 3 pieces of land. So 1, 2, 3. And the moment he says, take 3 pieces of land, this dwarf turns into a giant and takes these gigantic paces. With 2 paces of land, he covers the heaven and earth. And then he has no place to put his 3rd foot. And he says, where should I put it? And Mahabali says, put it on my head. And he's crushed and shoved under the earth. The story talks about subjectivity of measurement. What I think is 3 paces and what the other person thinks is 3 paces is very different. So the person who created the measuring scale and the person who is using the measuring scale are looking at very differently. And that is where conflicts emerge. We would like there to be this one absolute measurement scale, but everybody's reference point is different. To the point that in Indian mythology, and not in philosophy, you see the word measure is based on a phrase called ma, from where comes mapdand. From this word also come not just mapdand, which is the measuring scale, but also the word maya, which is delusion. What one is basically told is be careful of measurements.